Boom. Hello, everyone. Christopher Smith coming at you. Another conversational adventure in the Don't Get Me Started podcast. And today, a dear friend, colleague, mentor, coach to me from across the country, the one and only David Orr, founder of Flat Stick Academy, top 50 teacher, Golf Digest, top 100 Golf Magazine, #1 teacher in North Carolina. And we definitely have more than one thing in common, but one of those things is we do not suffer fools easily, and there's a lot of foolishness in golf, specifically in putting. So first off, David, thanks for being with me, and thanks for reaching out. I'm super excited to have you share so much of your wisdom and your knowledge and your research specifically, which we're going to get into right away. So for the viewers that, heaven forbid, they don't know of you, the one and only David Orr. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Christopher. It's great to be with you again. As always, we have great conversations. And what's funny is you really got me started watching your interview with Brian Manzella, and Brian did such a good job on that. And he's one of the guys that knows what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's quite a few. I used to teach full swing, and back in the day, there was maybe a dozen people that really knew what they were doing, and then there was a bunch of the rest of us.
Yeah.
I learned from Mac O'Grady. He was a mentor of mine, and obviously Golf Machine and that kind of stuff. So I have Michael Hebron. I have quite the lineage of mentors that I've learned under. And then when it came to putting, I was teaching on tour, started about 18 years ago on tour.
Yeah.
And I was on the putting green in a tour event, and I'm listening to the gurus of putting.
Yeah.
And they're giving the same lesson. Like, I'd listen to one lesson, then I'd listen to another lesson, and like get connected and all this kind of stuff, and bend from your hips, and what. One would say rock your shoulders, the others like just turn your body, and they're not the same things, by the way, right? So that's how I got interested. I was like, man, there's just a few guys that really know what's going on in putting. Now that's changed.
Yeah.
Same thing with full swing. Full swing, gosh, there's so many good instructors now, right? There's lots of reasons for that, but I think obviously the orange box, the TrackMan did it, and then obviously force plates, and then getting biomechanists like Dr. Rob Neal, Sasha McKenzie, Dr. Kwan, Mike Duffy, getting people that are from another field that are out of golf. I think that's why full swing has improved. And then with putting, that's been my goal of Flat Stick Academy, is to educate coaches and based on research. So I would say the number of putting coaches that are experts would be a couple dozen now, as opposed to less than a dozen. And then there's a lot of good coaches too, which I'd like to differentiate. There's a difference between teaching and coaching.
Yeah. Right? What do you see the difference there as? What's the difference in your world between a teacher and a coach? Because sometimes they get blended together like a good or bad cocktail.
Well, so coaching is about performance, getting your players to perform better, right? To get them to be more skillful, like to be able to read greens. Which way does it break and how much? How far is the putt and how fast is the green? Are you hitting it low or hitting it high? Are you pushing, pulling, right? Coaching the skill set. That's what I see out on tour most of the time, is these tour coaches are not doing that much technique work.
Right.
They are doing a lot of skill work and a lot of performance work, and that's where I had the experience to work for Justin Rose on and off from 2012 to 2022 in different capacities. And one of the greatest years I ever had was 2012. My good friend Phil Kenyon was coaching the putting for Rosie. James Richard was doing the short game, and I was doing Rosie's full swing for, half the year. So I got to do and that's when I realized that my full swing instruction, which used to be ahead, was actually a little behind. So it really humbled me a lot. I do get a lot of compliments. A lot of people, I look at his swing, and Mark Blackburn's done a great job with him. Yeah. And the swing's not that far off from what we were doing. So Mark's just, he's the best in the world at what he does. So Rosie and I are still good friends. And I'd worked for Hunter Mahan, I'd worked for Paul Casey, I'd worked for Suzanne Pedersen, Anna Norquist. Now I coach Esther Hensleit from Germany, and I'm so proud of Esther because she's gone from 132 in the world a couple of years ago to like a month ago, like 19th, and now she's hanging around 21st. So
Wow.
I'm really not that great a coach, to be honest with you. I've had to learn to become better at coaching, and that every player is different.
Yep.
We're going to see in a minute.
Yeah.
And then my expertise is more in teaching, more in educating.
Yep.
More in teaching coaches how to coach putting, and how to teach putting. And I'm a minimalist. I don't like a lot of training aids, so that doesn't make me popular out on tour. I'll tell you a funny story. I'm at the Solheim Cup with Esther last fall, and Charlie Hall, who works with my good friend Nick Soto, comes up to me and she goes, "David, how come Esther doesn't have any training aids?" And I turned and looked at Charlie. I said, "Well, she doesn't need any." And it was funny to watch the look in Charlie's face. And then she looked around, and then everybody on the European team has their training aid and their drills. And Esther and I are just literally running our mental process. We're just running the process pre-putt and post-putt and making sure that it flows.
Yep.
And that she's putting without fear. So that was the biggest thing going into the Solheim Cup. Like, I needed to get Esther mentally and emotionally prepared. Her technique was good enough. It didn't need to be absolutely perfect. But what's funny is she's actually putting better now, but her technique was better last year. And that's the constant yin and yang of coaching putting. Like, your technique can suck and you're positive 8 strokes gained out at Black Desert in Utah, and you finish second.
Yep.
And you're swiping across at 3 degrees, and your caddy's
that's one of the great things you and I have talked about. We've talked about a lot of stuff, sometimes off the cuff and a little bit non-traditional, but it's not all technique, ladies and gentlemen. Getting the ball in the hole, as you just mentioned, it's not all technique, and we tend to put it all on that. And not to say that it's not important, because if your technique sucks, you're probably not going to make putts and you're not going to putt well. But there's so many other factors to putting better. And obviously she, and the proof's in the pudding, David. I mean, are people getting better? Are your people getting better or not? And the stats show that. So
yeah, some people are and some are not. I'm for some folks and I'm not for others, because I'm a little bit of old school, like Bobby Knight and Lou Holtz kind of cocktail together with a little bit of Napoleon complex, Woody Hayes grabbed the face mask, tell them that they, the interesting thing too is I try not to be critical. That's one thing I've improved on the most, is not, especially in the first hour of a lesson. I give 2-3 hour lessons typically, and I try to just give feedback or ask key questions. So I start to ask a lot of questions. And they're questions just to, not to see the right answer, but to see how the player responds.
100%.
I might ask them, "Hey, can you stand back here behind the ball? How long is this putt?" And you don't have to be correct. And they'll look at me and I'm like, "You don't have to be correct. I just want to see how fast you can say it's 33 feet uphill, right to left, breaking 3 feet." Yeah. Like, she just, they just nailed 4 answers to 4 questions that are like saying peanut butter and jelly on white toast. I mean, it's more recognition skills that people lack. That makes sense. As also the skills themselves, which are read, speed, line, and aim. Yep. But with the read, you've got the basic skill. Well, which way does it go? Yeah. Then the complex skill is how much. Yep. And you can't misread. You can't get the basic one wrong. That makes sense. If you're playing a right to left putt and you're seeing it left to right, we're in trouble. Yep. So I think getting back to the coaching teaching thing is that there's a lot of good coaching going on the PGA Tour. But like I say, it's more performance skill-based stuff. Yeah. I see a lot of, a lot of training aids. I pick on my friend Phil Kenyon because I love him to death. Those putting mats, right? Yeah. And, based on the research that I've done, how many people their strokes actually fit to those mats? If that
Let me guess, not many.
Not many if you look at the graphs. Yeah. But Phil has shared with me, he didn't create those mats to be used unsupervised. Right. Yeah. They were designed to hold the camera directly over top the bird's view. Yeah. So you could see if the face was open, square, closed to the arc. Makes sense. So that was why they were designed, and he's done such a good job with that. But there's a lot of people that just order them throw them on the ground, and then they think the stroke is the arc is on the ground. The arc's not on the ground. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's created a lot of confusion, but like I said, it wasn't intended to be unsupervised. The intention was to use video, to use the coach, for the coach to supervise. And I'm biased to Phil's product, Vizio putting products. They're great.
Yes, they are.
In my opinion, because they're designed by the world's best putting coach. And I always say that to Phil. He's always uncomfortable. I'm like, well, you're the number one putting coach in the world. And, he's so humble. He's like, well, he goes, you know more than I do. I'm like, well, Phil, it's not about how much you know. This is not a information contest. Does that make sense? It's how well do you get your player to perform? How well do you know how to work with them when things aren't going well?
Yes.
That's where he's so good at is like, look what he's done with not just Rosie, but Scotty Scheffler, Keegan Bradley, Gary Woodland, Tommy Fleetwood, Matt Fitzpatrick. I mean, the guys. And that cool thing about working with a top 10 player, and I've worked with 3 of them, is you learn more from them than they do from you. I mean, you learn how to coach better, because if you don't, you're going to get fired, if that makes sense. And that is the one thing about putting coaching versus full swing coaching is like putting. I always say as a putting coach, you're like a barber. Person's in town, they need a haircut, they'll go to the barber, right?
Yeah.
Full swing coach is more like a beautician. You have a running appointment, you don't change. You've been with them for years and that kind of stuff. So, and they really know your hair. So, anyway.
I love it. I love the teaching and coaching pieces. I mean, you've done both with me. I also think that you're learning. The people that have been around as long as we have, we're always learning, right? And so your coaching style has evolved. Great coaches are able to kind of adjust and adapt to whoever the person is in front of them. I think back to the great John Wooden. He didn't treat everybody the same way. He didn't coach everybody the same way. Like with me, you've always been super direct. Like you've often been like in my face. That gets my attention. Works great for me. And so our job as the coach, okay, or the teacher, is to figure out, hey, what's gonna work best for these individuals. Yeah. And then quickly what you said about good players, Jim McLean, who's friend and mentor forever, has spent time with a lot of great players, like you just said, and he always said to me, who's teaching whom when you're with a great player? Often the teacher is gonna learn more than the player if you just shut up and listen. And then lastly, we talk about this. The amount of information and knowledge out there right now has never been greater, but people continue to suck. And that information is being spewed out. You want to talk about unqualified. There's a lot of us out there that are unqualified for a certain thing, but now the plethora of the influencers and the content creators that are experts in something they've never actually spent any time with it's overwhelming and disgusting. And it's not helping. Like we're in the job of helping people get better. So I know that frustrates you at times too, to see the whatever you want to call them, the charlatans or the dabblers out there pretending to be expert.
Well, here's the thing. What's your motive? Is it about you or is it about the player? Is it about you? It's like Donkey and Shrek, right? That's kind of like look at me, right? And I understand that when you're a young coach, you're trying to prove yourself and you're trying to, be an influencer on, you've got a lot of this information. And I would say this to the listeners is that when you come across some information, the first question you need to ask yourself, is this relevant to me? Like this tip.
Yep.
Is this tip or this bit of advice towards putting, is it relevant to me? And then if you don't know if it's relevant to you, then you do need somebody that has some experience teaching putting to help you decipher if that was relevant to you.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But it can get kind of confusing because I'll admit it, some of these influencers are better at presenting material than I am.
But that's what they're skilled at. They're fantastic presenters, marketers.
They don't know what the hell they're talking about, but man, they are compelling.
Yes.
They're very believable. And hell, I'm sitting there looking at it on Instagram going, man, why don't I have that skill set? Or the money to produce these unbelievable graphics. Like Adam Young Adam Young does a wonderful job with his graphics.
Yep.
And we did a podcast. He's like, dude, if you knew what goes into behind producing those graphics, he goes, that's an entire skill set in itself. You know,
Yep.
even with my videos on Flat Stick Academy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Which I think are great.
Well, you know, I never liked my videos until I started paying for them to be done professionally, right? So it's like I had always just turned the iPad on, turned the mic on, talk about the subject, and post it, right? And Flat Stick Academy started for coaches, not players.
Right.
That's why it's so instruction heavy.
Yeah.
Right? And so what was interesting is I made a decision a year and a half ago to like, okay, I want to get some professional videos done by professional videographers and people that do this for a living, you know, and they brought the drones and the multiple cameras and the booms and this. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then when they produced it, and that was very confusing because we had to produce it backwards. I had to do the summary first.
Oh, interesting.
Then the content and then the introduction. And I'm like, how the hell is this going to work? And then they put it together and it's like this beautiful piece. And it's like, oh my gosh. So I started dripping portions of that information on my subscription site, which is $9.99. So there's your sales pitch. But then I organized them into courses that you could buy separate. Like, so somebody had complained to me like, your website's not organized. I'm like, well, it's extremely organized, but it's been dripped backwards. My website has been built backwards for 10 years.
Yeah.
So that a new subscriber, when they go on,
they don't know where to go.
Well, it looks in order. No, the first video, it's in order. It's like I just posted Flat Stick Fundamentals get measured. Well, now I got to drip Flat Stick Fundamentals follow-up, and then what I got to do is go in and unpublish get measured so they're in the correct order.
I've seen.
So you got to get measured, then you got follow-up. Do you see what I'm saying? So like doing a website, instruction website, there's a lot more going on than people realize. And as soon as I had a professional videography, I was like, man, I like my website.
Yeah.
And, I mean, for 8.5 years, I hated my own website. I mean, it's just like, but
think about that. It's a perfect example of what we're talking about. You went to somebody who was an expert in that field, right? As opposed to us that dabble in that field. So why do people, we know kind of why, but people choose not to do that when they're trying to get better at golf or putting or anything. And it just flabbergasts me, the amount of time and energy and money that's spent. And then to your point, the marketeers extraordinaire that, sound smart, look good. And let's face it, people are fifth grade mentality. They're desperate, they're vulnerable, and they suck. So of course they soak it all in.
Right. Well, let's talk about why golfers suck at the supposed simplest part of the game.
Yes.
Right? And that's kind of how I got into putting research was how can a guy who swings it as well as I do and hits it as well as I do struggle with the simplest part of the game? And, somebody of my IQ should be able to figure out the simplest part of the game. That was my thinking.
Right.
Come on, this is not that hard. So David Orr came to Campbell University when I was teaching at Campbell University in the PGA Golf Management Program. And he's like, here's my putter fitting system. I want you to do some testing on aim with the putter heads, the hosels, the lines, and all that good stuff. So that's how we really got into it. And then he asked me if I would present at MIT. At the Golf Through Technology conference.
I remember that.
Yeah,
back in the day.
Did it 2 years in a row. And so we, 1 year I did it on putters, and the second year I did on Sam Putt Lab putting strokes that, nobody strokes the same.
Yep.
In the Sam Putt Lab only measures what the putter's doing. It doesn't measure what the body's doing.
Or the brain.
Yeah.
Which we've done some.
We've done little cool things with that.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I got introduced to Dr. Rob Neal.
Right.
Who was an expert, one of the pioneers of 3D, actually, from down under, from Australia.
Yep.
And he became a mentor of mine, and I helped develop his putting module with him, where we actually put sensors on the hands and the wrists and the elbows and the upper arms and the head, the neck, or the head, the torso, the pelvis.
Yep.
And we collected some really cool people. It's as like my friend Bibb Wadden said to me, he goes, "You're a database of people that you guys have collected," meaning Phil Kenyon, myself, Doc Neal.
Yeah.
It's priceless.
Yep.
Because we have several world number ones. We probably have 20 players that have have had an official world golf ranking.
Mm.
But then we also have amateur golfers, and then
Right.
like even my wife, right? I
Right.
wanted to put an untainted, uninfluenced from social media putting stroke on there.
Yeah.
And so then I got my expertise became educating coaches and still coaching some players, but doing a lot of education around the world, speaking in Germany multiple times,
Yeah.
France multiple times, Netherlands, Portugal, England, all over Canada. The
You've
two
been all over.
two seceding provinces of Winnipeg and is that Alberta and Calgary? Those are the two.
Yeah, it could be their own country soon. Yeah, and they still need help with education and putting.
Yeah, well, we might get British Columbia too. So I mean, geez, then we'll have the whole Northwest. But anyway, yeah. So that's been my study is on what people are actually doing with their wrist,
Yep.
their forearm, and their elbow and their upper arm on this side of the body, on this side of the body.
Yeah.
And so it's taken me. This has been over 10 years. To come up with a way to decode 3D numbers. So when you're measuring somebody in 3D, we're capturing 240 frames a second.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So for instance, like if I went frame by frame, you might not get any change. But that's why I tried frame by frame, every 5 frames, then finally at 10 frames, you get a 1/10 of a degree of movement.
Interesting. Yeah.
But what's funny is when you look at it, is I had done it like a sheet of music.
Yeah.
So anybody that is listening, if you know how to read music, you've got like a score, like a conductor has a score of a symphony.
Yeah. Yep.
And he knows what the flute and the piccolo or the sequence of notes, and he knows the overlap of the clarinet and the saxophone and the oboe and the French horn and the overlap. So there's sequencing and overlap.
Yes.
There's overlapping movements. I'll give you an example. So see how my torso is turning and tilting, but it's separate from my head?
Yes.
So separation would be one of the key coordination movements.
Gotcha.
Can I separate? Now what's funny is when my torso turns and tilts a little, it puts a counter rotation in my neck.
Yeah.
Counter rotation puts a torque and it causes my head to tilt backwards.
Gotcha.
So I learned that from the research.
Yeah.
Whereas if my head and my torso move together in forward bend,
Yeah.
everything float forward.
Yeah, you see a lot of bad putters do that, don't we?
Well, they don't know how to separate
Yeah.
the eyes, the head, and the upper body.
Yeah.
That's what should be happening, that separation,
Yeah.
right? And then that causes a torque and a tilt, and you end up looking at it like this, and you raise your putter. And versus when their eyes and their head and their torso move together,
Yeah.
they're watching the ball as if you were a flat earther.
Yeah,
keeping
exactly.
Eyes and ears level, and it's the number one mechanical marker of guiding. You are guiding when your eyes, head, and torso float because you're guiding the ball, maybe with the eyes and the putter.
Yeah.
And it usually leads to a pull for a good player.
Yeah.
And then what happens after we pull it, we start steering and opening the face back up. So it's like a 1-2 punch combination of guiding and steering. If I hadn't gone through the data to understand, like, oh my gosh, this turning and tilting with a counter rotation is why the head goes back. That makes sense? That's why it goes backwards. Good players, the putter, of all the people we measured, there was only one player that actually kept their head still.
Right.
And I know Joan Vickers wrote a whole book about the quiet eye, but I don't think that's the same thing that we were measuring.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So it's like these turning and tilting, these counter rotations cause movements in the opposite directions.
Yeah.
Thought that was so cool because I can look at these gross movements, right?
Yeah.
Is the player lifting up and down? Are they swaying side to side?
Yeah.
Are they thrusting forward and back? Like those are easy things to fix. You follow me on Facebook?
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
The before and afters, usually I'm just changing gross movement patterns first.
Right.
And then where you really lose your client or you got your client is when you start working on the fine motor movements of the wrists and the forearms and the elbows.
Right.
I think I've lost more clients because I actually tried to fix their fine movement pattern. It's like training them how to rewrite their name.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if they don't like the way you're teaching them how to write cursive, then you're fired because they want to stick to printing. Does that make sense?
And I don't know how many times I've been with you at a conference or summit, and somebody will come up and ask you, "Hey, what do my wrists do when I putt?" And you look at them as you do so well, and you're like, "Do you really want to know?" Because you may not want to freaking know.
Well,
You got to be careful. You got to be careful what you ask. Like, "Oh, my wrists don't move and my head doesn't move." Sometimes that information, the truth, if you will, it is important that we know that. But you got to be careful what you ask and ask for.
So I can only speak for the people that we've measured.
Yeah.
Everybody has wrist movement, but it's so minimal depending on the distance. Like if you have a really short putt, I mean, it might be less than a degree of movement.
Gotcha.
If you have like a 30-footer, it might be like 2 or 3 degrees of movement.
Yep.
I think one of the things that I learned through this data capture is that, Doc Neal was measuring on natural grass.
Okay.
And we all tried to measure the same distance. But what's interesting is, as Biv Wadden said, like the friction from natural grass is not the same as artificial.
Turf. Yep.
And a lot of my data was collected on artificial surface, which is on concrete.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? So the speed numbers aren't going to be exactly the same, even though the distance numbers are the same.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
So, yeah. Now, how a player uses their wrists, and it's very minimal, but if the wrist goes from extension to flexion and any ulnar, you might get that sequence might get the forearm to twist the putter shot, which is inside shut.
Yep.
So if you took your left wrist and you went from extension toward flexion, a little bit of ulnar, it turns your forearm, kind of like the under twist in the backswing.
Yep.
Takes it inside and shut. So with the good player, that's the number one problem in the backswing pattern is that movement pattern, because a good player hates to take it outside, right? Another thing a good player likes to do is they like to start the backswing with a club head, not the whole club.
Interesting.
So they'll go club head. I don't want it to go outside, and I want it to stay square.
Yeah.
So let's write those 3 things down. Club head starts first.
Yep.
Club goes inside, not outside, trying to keep the face square. Well, you have just introduced wrist.
I was going to say it has to be wrist then, right?
Unless
they've got the putter jammed into their sternum.
Yeah. So now here's another cool
illegal.
So here's another cool thing too. Everybody assumes that there's nothing going on here.
Yeah.
If you try to keep the face square to anything,
you're
going to be having a counter rotation going on in the forearms. That was the coolest discovery I have learned through this database, is like maybe trying to keep the face square throughout the whole stroke isn't the best idea on the planet. And I think if you look at the Sam Putt Lab, it's actually 10 centimeters before and 10 centimeters after. If the path is 0.
Right.
That makes sense? So if the path is 1 degree left, I think you might want your face to be open to the path.
Yep.
If your path is to the right a degree, you might want your face closed to the path a little. So how many people are actually have the path zeroed out and keeping the face square just in this length, let alone a mat? So that was one of the huge discoveries of this, was like, holy smokes, what a player has to do. And I did a video. You saw it on the markers when I talked about rotation and counter rotation.
Yep.
So how do I know if a player is trying to keep the face square? The head moves forward in the backswing.
Interesting. It moves forward in the backstroke?
Yes.
Yeah.
If it moves a degree, no big deal.
Yeah.
But when it starts really going, the head goes forward and the left.
Yeah.
Now, they're moving in the lateral plane, and then after the head moves left or tilts left, the torso tilts faster than it turns.
Okay.
So those 2 things, head left, tilt left, fast.
Yep.
Upper right arm moves away from the body.
Yep.
Those 3 things right there prevent rotation. They block the backswing rotation. Now, let's add a little bit of, let's keep the club face square. Let's keep the club face square.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm pronating the trail forearm and I'm supinating the lead forearm.
Yep.
I am keeping this club face square, right? And then if you add a little bit of translation to the butt of the club, you really got it square. So it's like all those things create keeping the face square in the backswing. So to get it back to square, what do you got to do?
You got to flip-flop it, correct?
You got to undo everything you just did.
Yep.
And it's supposed to be simpler? I mean, come on. It's supposed to, you think correcting this is simple? No, it's a disaster. And that's why when people come see me and they get this conflicting information, I'm saying, club face is going to rotate just because it's traveling, and it might have some degree of curvature.
Yep.
And that even from the elbows up, you might get some rotation just because of this, or a little bit of rotation here. So just that little bit of rotation, see the hands travel and the club travels, that face is opening. It's not staying square. So I just have the advantage that A, the database that we have, and B, the extent at which we've done this. So you had asked me, how do I do this, correct? You'd asked me how do I look at a putting stroke, right?
Yeah.
So do you want me to go ahead and
so
song sheets?
I think it's fascinating. So real quick before we go there, some of the things you just said, are there things that you see that you have seen, right? Because you have just a vast experience, right? And I think you and I agree that we've seen some stuff that's pretty funky that works pretty well, right? And at the end of the day, neither of us, I don't really give a shit what it looks like. I care how it works. And I especially care how it works under the gun. But would you say there's certain patterns that you see that are kind of, again, to steal a McLeanism, like a death move, or things that you've never seen a good putter do? I mean, are there things that, like you just mentioned, that you've never seen anybody that putts well do that, or not?
Listen, Billy Mayfair.
Yeah.
He had a major loop and cut to his stroke, right?
Yeah.
As soon as he tried to fix it,
he got worse.
Yeah, and he is a great putter, right?
Yeah.
Now, even Crenshaw's stroke had a loop in it. A lot of people, but he had just such beautiful grip and old school setup, kind of like Fax has a beautiful setup and a beautiful grip.
Yeah.
And then they have good timing, good flow to their stroke. But Crenshaw had a loop in his stroke, and he putted with a heel shafted blade that kind of allowed that non-planar movement to take place.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That makes sense. So even Fax's stroke has a lot of arc. I've put it myself. Stan Utley has a lot of arc, but the putter's going to arc. The question is the shaft also arcing. So we got the face, the head, and the shaft, right? So the shaft can track a straight plane line, which is like everybody's theory. Yeah. But the shaft can also arc, and I think that's where the big discussion is. Oh, I'm straight back, straight through. Well, with what? The face, the head, or the shaft?
Yeah, exactly. That needs to be clarified, right? Yeah.
Well, it's one of those three things, right? And maybe the hand path feels parallel to the club. You know what I mean? So what's interesting is when the discussion of straight back, straight through comes up, it's like, well, is it the face, the head, or the shaft, or the hands?
Gotcha.
Because a stroke that's very planar might feel very straight back, straight through.
Yep.
And the putter head's arcing. Putter head's arcing.
Yep.
And then the face is rotating. And it's like people don't really like connect on that. So, but anyway, so answering your question, I think people, it's funny because, to the brain, every putt's a new one.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. Before we came on,
But with our mind, all of our feels and sensations are like a library.
Okay.
And Stan Utley, I want to give him credit for sharing this with me. Is that he has a library of feels that work.
Interesting.
And it
might for him. Feels that work for him.
Feels that have worked for him.
Yeah, I love it.
And he'll run through, his library is very small.
Yeah.
It's just like a half dozen to a dozen feels. And that's how he finds his stroke for the day.
I love it. It's like we call them swing cues or thoughts or feels or
feels, whatever. But it's beautiful that he used the word library because it's like he knows which aisle and which shelf to find the feel. Does that make sense?
And that's one of the qualities of a great player, a great performer, David, as you know, is they're able to adjust and adapt and accept and acknowledge the 4 A's every time they go to play. They don't get stuck in, well, I did this yesterday and I putted really well. Well, that was yesterday. The last I checked, it's not yesterday anymore, right? No. So what do you need to do now and today to putt better? Go to your library, and pull the book out that's going to help you make putts today. And you know what? That book may not be relevant or useful tomorrow. But people don't like that. Yeah.
Well, because they don't understand that, and I didn't understand this the longest, one shot at a time. You hear that. Yeah, one shot. Well, actually, that's what it is. You know what I mean? It's like you're not now looking at the data. Like when I look through 30 strokes from Brad Faxon, they're not the same. Yeah. When you look at the numbers. Now, their variance is very little. Like that is something I would say a great player, and I don't like to use the word consistency because consistency is more for outcomes. Variability is more about process. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you got a box of number 2 pencils, are they all the same? Exactly.
No.
If you made chocolate chip cookies, you made the same ingredients, but are all the chocolate chips in the same spot?
Yep.
in the same number. So Chips Ahoy chocolate chip cookies look the same to the average person,
but they're not.
They're not the same.
Yep.
Cookie to cookie. And so that's kind of what a putting stroke is. It's like this cookie has the same ingredients, right? Even packaged the same way, but the chocolate chips are not. There's some variability there. And I think people don't really understand that variability, it's good to have some variability because you're putting on slow greens, fast greens.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And the ability to adapt, which I think the greatest player of all time to do that's Tiger Woods. And next to him would be Seve, probably. You know, the ability to adapt and adjust and on the fly. Even Fax is so good at it with the putter. Like he can, I could go on and on about stories that he's told me about where he's had to adapt his stroke to where he is.
Yeah. I love it.
You know, so instead of chasing this perfect stroke, he's got this skill set in this library of feels that, you know, or Stan had a great idea. He's like, we need to get Fax, you and I together on a Zoom and talk about feels. I'm like, yeah, we should do it, right? But yeah, so, and that's the biggest thing I said probably on an open forum several years ago. I said, F the numbers. And everybody thought I was copping out. And it's like, no, if you've seen what I've seen, you can't produce the exact same number 2 putts in a row. There's just too many variables, if that makes sense.
And that's, you know, that study that Mark Churchill did at Stanford years ago, basically on the myth of consistency, and it is a myth. So nobody's ever hit 2 putts the same. They never make 2 swings the same. The best in the world, there's less variance. So I think Kevin Kirk likes to call it competency. What's your level of competency? But consistency it's a joke. We're not hardwired that way. We're not robots, which you're going to get into in a minute when we look at the
and then this will prove that the numbers can't be the same.
Right.
Like if you look at, like even the colors won't be the same.
Right.
From player to player.
That leads us up to, I mean, at the end of the day, the putting stroke is very similar to an orchestra.
Yes.
Of so many different components put together that you know as well as I, and that's kind of the stroke DNA chart that I want you to bring up here in a moment to briefly share with the viewers and listeners. I mean, it's beyond cool. There's a lot going on there.
Well, it's actually simpler than it looks. So I'm going to tell our listeners that this is actually simpler than it looks. Do not get dismayed. It's actually not that difficult. But this will give you just an indicator of one stroke.
Yep.
This is one putting stroke.
Okay.
So like we talked about, we've captured a lot of great players.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a virgin that has not been tainted by golf instruction, social media, or anything. This is actually my wife, who is actually a left-handed person. Yeah. And we made her putt right-handed, and we put the sensors on her. And remember, if this is like a sheet of music, okay? Yeah. So the time frames go from 270 all the way to 550.
Okay.
So you gotta remember, this system is so accurate. It's 240 frames per second. It's accurate to 1/10 of a degree.
Crazy.
And I believe less than a millimeter. So this is like, it's kind of like when people say to me, I want to teach with 3D, I'm like, okay, what level are you talking about?
Right.
Are you talking Sam Putt Lab? Are you talking 4D sensors? Are you talking hack motion? Are you talking gears? Like this right here is another level. So anyway, so the music, the sequence of notes is the song is the colors.
Okay. And
it's really simple. So if it's blue, things are moving in a negative direction or a clockwise direction.
Okay.
Okay. And if it's red, things are moving in a counterclockwise direction or they're positive. So we're using right-hand rule of thumb.
Okay.
And then if it's yellow, there was no rotation or no change from the previous 10 frames.
Gotcha.
So let's just look at one thing. Let's just go down to face rotation down here.
Okay.
Let's go down near the bottom. It'll be in purple. It'll be in purple. And below that, you'll see face to path. So have you found that, Christopher?
Say again. All right.
Have you found that on the screen where it's purple and then it's orange?
Yeah, kind of bottom leftish.
All right, so you'll notice that the face is rotating in the address position. It's 0.7 degrees open, and by the length of the backswing, it was 12.4 degrees open. Right now, where did that come from? Well, that come from all the color above.
Yep. Gotcha.
Plus, so the club head traveled a lot because she didn't move her body much, but she moved her wrists a lot. She moved her wrists and arms a lot, like uh, a novice golfer or beginner
Right.
golfer
would do more of. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so she had, look at this. If you go up to the lead wrist, she started at 27 degrees and went to 17 degrees. By the top, she had 10 degrees of change in her wrist, which is a lot
Yep.
on a putt less than 10 feet.
Gotcha.
So she's a little too wristy in the left wrist and a little too wristy in the right wrist. But you can see both wrists if you look at lead wrist, and that's what was causing the face to rotate 12 degrees open. There was
Gotcha. Okay.
10 of that from the wrist alone.
Yep. Gotcha.
The travel of the club, right?
Yep.
So the reason why golfers are not as wristy is A, we're on faster greens, better greens than they used to be.
Yep.
But it's a way of generating a lot of speed. Does that make sense? So that's why players, if you want to generate a lot of speed, you use your wrists.
So that's obviously when we look at old Augusta National Masters videos, the greens are running at, whatever, 6 or 7. Or in any event, back 40s, 50s, 60s, let's say, when the greens were slower, a lot more wrist action, obviously.
Wrist action, forearm, and elbow movements.
Yeah, man.
That makes sense. So what's interesting is my robot, let's just take from the upper arms,
Yeah.
which is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pairs of 14 rows. A robot would be completely yellow.
Yep.
Like my robot Frank that I have in my studio,
Yeah.
all these numbers up here, the first 14 rows would be all yellow. And she's only got bits and pieces of yellow.
Yeah.
So she's got a lot of rotation. So should we give her a putter that doesn't rotate? Is the putter going to stop that rotation from the wrist? Probably not. Is a big fat grip going to do that? No. Is a high MOI head, a big mallet head,
Yeah.
big grip, is that going to reduce the wrist? No, it's not.
Interesting.
Because that's her way of generating speed.
Right. And that's the way, to your point, and we've seen this a lot of newer players, you hand them a putter and you don't say much to them. They have a lot of that. It's, it's intuitive or instinctive. They're trying to get the ball to go. And then it turns into one of our favorite phrases. I know it's one of yours, and it sure is mine. Then somebody says, no, you got to putt with your shoulders.
Okay, so let's look at that. So if you look at at the shoulder joint, you see these. So you got, after the elbow, you got lead arm extension, flexion, trail arm extension. So that's the upper arm.
Yep.
So when you're dealing with the shoulder, you're dealing with a complex. You're dealing with an upper arm, a glenohumeral joint, a collarbone, a clavicle, a shoulder blade. And you got 2 of them.
Gotcha.
They're designed to glide, so you have to coordinate with your shoulders. You have to coordinate your upper arms. You have to coordinate your collarbone, your clavicle. So, and it's like a very glidey sensation. It's not a very connected feeling at all. When you putt with your shoulders. Now, when you putt with your torso, that's more your rib cage turning and tilting. You didn't see my shoulders gliding at all.
Right.
They're being moved by my ribs.
Yep.
And that would produce a very strong arc around the body. That makes sense? So, interesting. And then also, if you look at the head, so I will tell you one thing. If you look at the head, you'll see that the head does move. And one of the things I've learned is that players actually use their head as a brake to the backswing.
Interesting.
So if I'm putting that way,
yeah, and
I want to change the direction, I'll go like this.
Interesting.
Yeah, so a lot of players will use their head turn and their head tilt to break that's why there's so many short backswings.
And that's obviously a subconscious, unconscious thing. They're not unless somebody's instructed them, taught them that, but they're doing it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right, but they'll use the head turn and tilt.
Yeah.
To make the backswing short or to transition sooner.
Woo. And
versus watch turning and tilting.
Yeah.
And getting a little bit of gliding. All that gives me range of motion. Well, now that's a lot of movement.
Yeah.
Almost too much movement for a short putt.
Yeah.
So I would say you don't really want to putt with your shoulders inside of 5 feet.
Interesting.
Because this is as much as they're moving. Like that would be a 4 or 5 footer.
So along those lines, I hadn't planned on asking you this, but do you think, or do you, from what you've seen, again, this is more about, and you've seen a lot, and you've studied a lot, and you have the data and the science to back it up. Do you think people use different stroke patterns, different stroke DNAs for different types of putts? You
The
know,
good
long,
ones.
short, medium, maybe even I remember we did a thing back at your place years ago on the board. You gave me a big right to lefter and a big left to righter. We looked at where I aimed, and it was like not the same human. It was like
Well, when we did those, remember we did those brain graphs?
those two.
You were red on a left to righter and blue and green on a right to lefter.
Yeah, and then we
Even
used
the
this.
brain wasn't the same.
Correct. And then we did that not long ago for a putter fitting, and I had the Opti system on that Dr. Debbie Cruz devised and invented, and you correctly, I wouldn't say guessed, you correctly predicted which putter and which grip was best for me. And so that system can be used, as you and I have talked about, because it's basically measuring brain waves, right? And thought precedes action. And as you and I jokingly say, or not so jokingly, it's all an inside job. So I remember going through different grips and different putters, and you basically, before we looked at the brain maps, were able to predict which one was going to fit me better. What was the best way for me to putt and what putter?
Well, that's just that's like a hypothesis, just like educated guess, right? A lot of it is
spot on.
Yeah, well, I got lucky.
No, you have they call that pattern recognition when they look at great return of servers and hitters in baseball and return of servers in tennis. We used to think it was eye speed. That's bullshit. Okay, it's pattern recognition because they've seen so much, and you've seen a lot. And again, you're humble enough to say, you know what? Okay, I thought it was this, completely wrong. But that's how we learn. That's what a scientist does, right? Here's what I have. Now shoot holes in it and tell me what's freaking wrong with it. Instead, all these people that just need to be right. That's not advancing things. Anyway, back to the orchestra.
So what's interesting is if I just got rid of all the numbers, I can actually read this and see that she starts the stroke with her wrists and then into her upper arms. And then the torso is not turning very much. The torso turn was she started 9.6 degrees open and only got back to 1 degree. So she only rotated like 8.5 degrees in the backswing, whereas Hunter Mahan would be double that,
right?
But less wrists.
Yep.
That makes sense. And by the way, I've not seen a single person. Now, I have seen one person that had no wrist in the backswing.
Really?
All yellow
in
the backswing, but it was a claw. It was not a conventional grip.
The bottom hand was?
Yeah, both. Yeah, so the bottom hand. Yeah, so I've seen one person that had no wrist movement, and it was only in the backswing.
Interesting. And just for the viewers and listeners that and again, this is a generalization. I slipped a little French in there. What does a claw do for most people?
Well, for a lot of people that are struggling with yips, that have the twisties or the jerkies or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and you know more about the brain than I do, but just by turning your hand this way, it's a new pattern.
Correct.
And then we said the brain always is working off of new anyway.
Yeah.
And then you have this advantage of guiding the shaft in plane. It feels like your hand's on a table.
Yeah.
But you can still see there's still rotation taking place where you're just not having any rotation where. So that's what people don't realize is that even though you're going claw, you're still getting some internal, external, abduction, adduction. It's still going to rotate.
Yeah.
But yet we're building putters that don't rotate.
Uh-huh.
And the reason why is nobody's done this that I know of. Nobody's done this.
Yeah, you have now. Thank you.
Well, but the thing is, and that's why when it comes to certain putter designs, I'm not saying that they're bad. It's just they're not for everybody, right? So
right, and which is what you're learning too is what is for everybody. Probably nothing is for everyone, and you're going to have, as you know way better than I, David. I mean, you get people that are wristy, that are armsy, that are shouldery. Can they putt well that way? Yes.
So it's funny. I've been accused, Christopher, that my preference for the high handicapper would be a bullseye, or an 88, or an 8802, or an 8802, because there's lower MOI, there's lower resistance to rotation. Well, what are we looking at right here? My wife, rotation. She's got to learn to coordinate these fine motor movements to make them less and less and less.
Yes.
A big fat grip is not going to do that. A big heavy putter that weighs 650 grams is not going to do that overall weight. Yeah. Giving her a big high, it's not going to help. It makes it worse. And I had sent you some videos of some players that are doing it well and other players that are not. I want to finish on this. So if we got rid of all the numbers and we just looked at the colors, I love reading the sequence that way. Like sometimes I could just blank out the numbers and look at the actual sequence of actually what's happening. But my favorite part are the bottoms, where we have the face rotational speed, the shaft angular speed, the hand speed. So I like to look at the changes in speed and go up the column and go, where did that change come from?
Right.
Oh, it came from the forearm and the elbow. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm reading this thing not just horizontally, and not just vertically, but also diagonally. Almost like, do you know how a helix works?
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, there's some diagonals in here that you can see. Like, I'll do hers real quick. Ready? It goes left wrist, right wrist, pronation, supination, elbow, and then upper arm. So her hands are literally just moving across her body, and her body's not moving a lot. So she's basically probably got her finger down the shaft, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
It's kind of looking kind of like this.
Yeah.
So she's just kind of swinging the club head back and forth with no control of the butt end of the club. And the reason why we can see that is the angular velocity of the club at impact is 119 degrees per second. That's a lot of speed. The club head speed is, the face rotation speed is 55 degrees per second.
Yeah.
That's a lot on a putt of 10 feet. Now, I might expect that maybe from 30 to 40 feet downhill.
Yeah.
But not from 10 feet, right? So that's another thing. As your stroke gets longer, you're going to have more rotation, more range of motion, more speed. So my favorite part of this was actually the bottom. And then what's funny is, let's look at face to path.
Yeah.
Okay, it starts off 0.2 closed, and she gets 6.2 degrees open. And then on the downswing, she gets to 1.1 open at impact to path. But she gets face back to square, 0.2 closed. I'm like, holy cow. With all this rotation, my wife being a total beginner, so what got the face back to square with a total newbie?
Well, somewhere inside of this newbie, she knows, part of her knows, or subconscious or other knows, that in order for the ball to start rolling where she wants it, that face has to be square.
Yeah, but she did it subconsciously. She's not had any reps.
I understand, but 90% of what we do every day is done subconsciously.
Yeah, she just wanted the ball to go there.
And you know, we could go on about this forever, but at the end of the day, what's really important in putting? You mentioned them earlier, but getting the ball to go there. I mean, what are you going to say to a 4-year-old, right? Get the ball to go there. This system, you know this as well as I do, is relatively complex. You know, with all due respect, somewhat to Chat GPT and AI, this system, this piece of technology, your brain, mind, body, soul, whatever else, is relatively fantastic if you stay the F out of its way. Give it a task, right? Now, if it's unsuccessful, then we need to intervene. That's what you do. That's what I do. Is what's going on? What's not allowing you to get the ball to go there?
Let's get to what's really important here, right?
Please.
So obviously you've got your basic 6 fundamentals of a stroke, but really that's the 6 fundamentals of what the putter has to do.
Okay.
It's not fundamentals of what the body has to do, because I'm writing a new, like, what the fundamentals are of the body.
Okay.
And it's not anybody ever. They're not even going there. We already talked about one being the ability to separate my upper body from my lower body, my upper body from my head. Can I swing both? Can I swing both arms in sync? Can I swing both arms and shoulders without moving my legs? Like, those are the fundamentals of movement. Can I make a stroke without peaking?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, whatever, like, right? But the fundamentals of the putter, let's get back to the fundamentals of what a putter has to do. Aim. You got to be aiming somewhere, whether it's square, open, or closed. The putter is somewhere at address.
Yep.
Direction is caused mainly by club face. As an example of my wife getting it back to 0.2.
Right.
With 12 degrees of rotation in the backswing from her wrists, forearms, and elbows, she had the coordination enough to get it back to 0.2. That's what Crenshaw, that's what Billy Mayfair, that's what these guys with the non-planar loopy-doopy, that's what they can do, right? They can get it to there, and they can do it 0.2, 0.3, 0.1, 0.7, 0.0, right? There's not a lot of variability in their ability to do that, right? But there's some variability. And then after that, you've got your path and spot, because you got to hit it somewhat solid, right? And then some of these overlap, like direction and distance, right? So then you got face rotation. Well, the face rotates. Face rotation is the least understood in the entire industry. because you have the face relative to the target line is absolute rotation.
Okay.
Caused by travel and curvature, right? So if I don't have any curvature in or out, it's just up. So if the putter goes back and up,
Yep.
and then it goes down and forward and up, people
Yeah.
call that straight back, straight through, but it's a vertical arc.
Yes.
It just doesn't have any curvature inward or outward.
Yeah.
Okay. What does the body have to do, or do you have to set up in a way to make that happen, like Michelle Weed brilliantly did?
Yes.
But face rotation also is coming from any twisting.
Yeah.
Of the club.
Yep.
So travel, curvature, and twisting. And then you got joint rotation. And that's the piece that people like. It was funny. I sent you that video of the poor kid with the twisties.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're like, I don't know what I'm looking at. And it's like, you have to be trained to know what to see, right? To be able to go, is it fanning open or is it just traveling open? Does that make sense?
Right. Right.
Are they closing it? Or are they putting a torque across the top of the shaft to close it?
Yeah.
You can see where that torque came from.
Yep.
Right? Across the top, on the side,
Yeah.
underneath requires usually some type of supination.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing I learned from Alex Noren, because he's got his right hand grip really under and knuckles driving, and it's like he has to literally like turn his forearm to keep the face from closing.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, and then so rotation is probably the most misunderstood of the fundamentals, that putter faces rotate just because they're traveling.
Yep.
Certain distance on an arc that's usually tilted. And then you've got, your launch of the putt, which I would say my weakest understanding of the fundamentals would be the launch. Like the expert in that is Paul Hurrian. Paul Hurrian, Viv Walton. Those guys really know and I'm learning from them.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning I didn't think it mattered that much. And the more and more I learn about Viv's work, I'm like, "Cow, this is why we're not making everything."
and what are some of the things that he's seeing? Is it just I hate to use consistent. Is it an inconsistent launch?
Well, because we're playing on a tilted surface.
Yeah.
And we've got friction on that surface.
Yeah.
And now are we hitting into that slope and grounding at an angle to it?
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Like the stimp on a side putt changes as it goes up versus down. Yeah. So you start looking at it and you're like, oh my gosh, if we were on a pool table and it was felt, I think we'd all be superstars. What's making putting hard is the green complexes are being designed harder and harder and harder.
Yeah. Yeah.
To the point where at like an Oakmont where you got to slow these greens down, right?
Yeah.
So I just think the reason why putting is hard is because the green complexes are so difficult, the slope percentages, the stimps. And then here's the thing I tell all my good players is like, listen, you've got to adapt and adjust to a brand new environment every week. It's like I feel bad for the girls on the LPGA because they got it harder than the PGA players because they play all over the world.
Right.
Like Esther will go to Saudi Arabia where the greens are punched.
Yep.
You believe it? They played a tournament with the greens punched. It's an event. Then she goes to like Korea or Thailand or China, and then she's playing on a completely different grass. It's very grainy, right? Then she comes back to the U.S., plays on Bermuda, then gets to Utah, and it's bent, and she has her best putting week ever. And it's like I tell Esther and her husband all the time, it's like we can't afford to wait until we like the surfaces that we're on.
100%. You got to know how to. You got to acknowledge, right? What is it? And then what am I going to do about it?
You got to stop with this. I can't wait to get on bent stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so your skills have got to transfer from week to week to week. The skills have to travel. Yeah. And that's why the average golfer, when they play at their country club, they have memorized all the breaks and they go to a new club and they can't adapt or adjust, or they go to Scotland and have a rough time because the greens are slow and the winds are blowing. Like when I went to Oregon for the first time to play at Bandon, I had never seen the wind blow my ball off a green. Right, I'm on the fescue. Yep. And I have this 4-footer, and I hit this 4-footer and I missed it, and the wind just kept blowing the ball off the green. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I do.
I've never hit a tee shot over an ocean and know that it's coming back to the fairway. Like, that was unbelievable to me. Like, literally hit it over the beach, like over the ocean, the wind's is blowing 40, 45, it blows it right into the fairway.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we as teachers also, that is a skill set.
Yeah, it has to
And this
travel.
is where it goes a little wrong in simulators, like where it's perfect and flat and there's no wind and the conditions are great. That when you throw somebody into what is actually a golf, tournament or something where the things aren't quite right, they're not quite perfect. If you haven't learned that, if you haven't experienced it or have somebody throw you in there, then why would you be good at it? And then you're gonna collapse and not do very well. So it can be. I'm a firm believer that stuff can be built up in practice. I think golf. You and I have talked about this. Golf's one of the few sports where the practice regime is way easier than what happens when you go to play around in golf. That's all backwards. I've got my Faith T-shirt on today. The Prefontaine Classic was 2 days ago. There was 2 world records. You talk to the best track and field athletes, especially the runners in the world for decades, and I've been lucky to talk to many of them. They will tell you that the race is a break. They can't wait for the race. It's the training leading up to the race that has killed them. And that they just can't wait to get it over because they've gone so hard in the training. And I think we do it backwards in golf. I think sometimes the training is way too easy, and then you get thrown into some environment like that, or back to the putting, like maybe you need to practice a little bit more on weird, different surfaces, because you know what? It's the inevitability of anything. It is probably going to happen, so how are you going to respond to it?
Yeah, so one of the things that Biv Wadden and Bill Schmidl did a wonderful job at Plastic Conference last year was they showed the different friction on artificial surface versus grass versus, different types of carpet, and that transitioning from artificial to real grass is about a 2-foot difference.
Wow.
You actually want to be practicing on slower because real grass has moisture in it.
Yeah.
Blades a little thicker. It's like nobody can really duplicate. So whoever comes up with artificial surface that actually performs like real grass.
There you go. You heard it.
They're going to make $1 billion because every rich guy in the world that has a simulator is going to want to have this actual grass.
Love it.
Or it's artificial, but it's like real grass. Like I've been through, see my putting green here, it's like 8 by 14.
Yeah.
This is my man cave up here.
Yeah. I've been up there.
Yeah, so it's, this is a stimp of, this right here is a stimp of 14. But the problem is when I went to a slower stimp, it was that artificial crusty stuff and the ball bounces.
Yeah.
So it's funny, I always have to transition from this and make sure I hit downhill putts first. That's the secret, is if you're going from indoors, practice downhillers first, then do uphillers, and then continuing this pattern of down, up. We call it pong or whatever.
Yeah.
But you're going down the slope, up the slope, so you start adapting and adjusting quicker.
Yeah.
Because what happens if I go from this surface and I go hit a 30-footer uphill, I promise you I will leave it 7 feet short.
Yeah.
Makes sense? So that that bit of knowledge from Biv saying, hey, and Bill being, hey, it's about 2.5 foot difference because of the change in the surface. And then also learning to read greens, right? And then learning to adapt to the speed. So those are 2 skills that have to go with you wherever you go. I got to be able to know which way and how much, and I got to know how far and how fast.
Yeah.
And how far and how fast are not the same things. A 30-foot downhill and a 30-foot uphill are not the same.
It's not the same.
So don't get me started on these people that measure their backswing. Don't get me started. I mean, just don't get me started. It's like keeping somebody in pre-K. Like you can only play with crayons.
Yeah.
That's how that's being taught. You're not allowed to play with anything else other than crayons. Just measure your backswing.
Yeah, that would basically kill the child eventually, literally.
Yeah, well, I do think it is the introduction.
Yeah.
Right? So if putting were writing or coloring or drawing or whatever, the introduction is crayons and paper, right? But then you do have to eventually move from the crayon to the pen or the pencil and the eraser, and then you need to learn how to print, and then you need to be expressive and cursive and etc. There's different layers of development. You know what I mean? Like, and when you're dealing with a 30-foot uphill and a 30-foot downhill, another major lie is that the timing should stay the same. I've done some research. I don't know if I can pull it up right now, but like I've measured doing the pong drill using Vertex, multiple players, going 3 foot uphill, 3 foot downhill, and then taking all the parameters and listing them just like I did with the joints. and look at the length and the time and the speed and the acceleration and the rhythm ratio. And what's funny is on a short putt, like a 3-footer downhill,
Yeah.
the stroke is short, it's very quick, it doesn't have a lot of acceleration,
Yeah.
low speed, right?
Yeah.
3-foot downhill. Whereas you turn around, you got 3-foot uphill, and its stroke might be the same length or maybe a little longer. The timing might be relatively same, but there's more force being applied. There is an positive acceleration. So you might have a positive acceleration going uphill on a putt.
Yeah.
You might have 0 or negative acceleration,
Yeah.
possibly close,
Yeah.
going downhill. So to sit here and say, oh, just take the putter back this far and the ball goes that far, now go pace it off. It's like you're giving a kid a crayon and
Yeah.
saying you can only color with crayons.
Yeah.
You will never be able to write. You will never be able to print. You will never be able to do cursive, let alone we're not going to give you a paintbrush and a canvas.
Heaven forbid. You know, I got a little hill outside my living room right now, and if we went out there and it goes up and down. If we went out there and walked 20 yards or 20 meters, whatever you want to call it, uphill and then downhill, okay, we would figure out how to get up and down without falling down. However, if we measured the muscles and the neurons that were firing going up and down, we would be assured that that's not the same human.
Exactly.
So it's ridiculous. Like I'm going to figure it out, right? I'm going to get the ball to go there. And so telling somebody, hey, keep your pressure here and keep your posture here. Watch somebody walk up and down, right? The system figures it out. It's pretty smart.
And little people know that going downhill is exhausting.
Well,
if you live in a mountain, like I live in the mountains.
Yeah. You know a little bit about uphill and downhill.
Well, skiing is my thing, right?
I know.
So I have a condo on a ski slope, and my wife got this wonderful idea of like, oh, let's take the chairlift to the top and we'll hike down. Well, we've done this on 2 mountains. We've done
Hike down? Yeah.
on Beach Mountain and Sugar Mountain. So both the ski areas that are in our area where we live in North Carolina, we have ridden the chairlift to the top and hiked down all the way down to the base, and your quads are just absolutely
fried.
You're killing you. Yeah. And she's like, well, aren't you glad we didn't do it going uphill? I'm like,
you're like, no.
Going, wait a minute, maybe uphill, even though uphill might affect my cardiovascular differently.
100% it will, yeah.
It probably wouldn't be as bad on my legs. So in other words, a different system, right? My muscular system going downhill is just killing me. Yeah, I'm not out of breath.
No.
But then going uphill, I'm out of breath. So, but anyway, how does this pertain to putting? Slope. Slope is the reason why you suck. Until you can read slope, judge which way, how much, how fast it's playing, how much, and then Viv and Dr. Paul can get into how important a launch angle on a putt. So I had put a post on my Facebook, you probably saw it, and some expert got on there and said, how do you launch a putt? And I didn't respond. I figured silence was better to answer to that expert.
Yeah.
When the reality is, so we have loft on a putter for a reason.
Yeah.
So the ball's sitting in the grass a little bit, hardly at all, but there is a little bit of a wall. So when you hit your putt, if you
get out of there, right?
Well, you can see on a slope, it's going to really hit a wall.
Yeah.
And that causes your first bounce.
Yeah.
There's a major speed drop.
Yep.
And then your second bounce and your third bounce. So what's funny is Rosie told me this 2012. He goes, all short game shots, watch what happens on the third bounce.
Interesting.
Well, even in a putt, there's like 3 little bounces that you can't see. We've been sold this bill of goods that you got to get it rolling.
Get it rolling as soon as possible, right?
I get this velvet. Actually, what's funny is you don't want it rolling right off the bat. Because you'd lose a tremendous. You don't want that friction to set in so early.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying we want it bouncing going down the highway like a golf ball on a runway, but the ball does bounce 3 times, and on artificial surface, it's smaller bounces, and the decay of the speed is less. That's why the artificial, whereas like the decay on a ball that's on grass, it drops, and then decays.
Yeah.
Whereas on an artificial surface, it goes like this. It's like bounce, 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 and then it decays at a slower rate. That's why it's different. Does that make sense? As soon as I saw those graphs from Viv, I'm like, holy smokes! No wonder I make everything in here, because this is only sloped 1%.
Yeah.
Right? And then I get out, and it's felted, and it rolls good, and I'm making everything, right? And then I go outside, and I don't make anything. Because you got to be able to judge slope. And you've got to be able to judge whether you're hitting uphill. Are you hitting side hill, downhill? Are you at an angle? the grain question is friction, right? So like we have one of the stickiest grains. It was funny. We went out from the conference. Everybody went on the putting green at Pine Needles. You've been there.
Which is a great practice putting green.
It's a 3% slope with about 4 or 5 in the middle.
Yeah.
Percent in the middle. And what's funny is Biv could not get the ball to the hole putting uphill. And he just did a presentation on friction. Yeah. And he goes to me, he goes, "Can I swear on this podcast? These are the stickiest freaking greens I've ever seen in my life." You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And then downhill, they're slick. And he goes, "Yeah, that putting," and we still talk about it to this day. He goes like, "Yeah, that putting green is like uphill versus down." And I listen to it all the time because I do my lessons out there. Yeah. And we get guests, and one guest is saying, "Boy, these greens are fast." The other guy's warming up on the other side of the hole, and he goes, "What are you talking about? These are the slowest greens I've ever putted in my life." And they're like, one's putting downhill, one's putting uphill. They don't even realize it. Yeah. And they're arguing about how fast or how slow the greens are because, like, dude, did you notice that you're putting downhill? Did you notice that you're putting uphill?
And with the grain,
it's so comical. I'll tell you what, I arrive to Pine Needles 30 minutes before my first lesson every day. Yep. Because I like to watch all the Neanderthal movements that these golfers come up with. And I want to talk about making a change really quick. Okay?
Yeah, please.
I do think people intuitively have the order correct.
And when you say order, what do you mean exactly?
So change a putter is typically first.
Okay.
Now, change the setup. Or excuse me, change the putter, change the grip, change the setup. Change the backswing pattern. Okay. Change the downswing pattern.
But the first things you mentioned could change the latter too, correct?
Absolutely. That's why they're in that order. So I do think the average golfer has the order correct. Yeah. Remember we said what's relevant to you? Yep. So I do like to change a player's putter first.
But a lot of people do that just cluelessly, right, David? I mean, putter fitting is...
Yeah, right. So putter fitting is a different discussion. If you went to 10 different putter fitters, you're going to have 10 different recommendations. Yeah. That's another podcast. That's just an education problem in the industry. That's all that is. There is no standard protocol. So anyway, I will try to find a putter that they can aim relatively straight and return the face relatively square. I like to minimize face change.
How good is that? Like that's pretty simple.
Well, I mean, if you have 3 degrees of face change, I'd like to get it to at least under a degree because now my world is operating in 1 degree or less. That's the world I live in, as you saw. Yeah, sometimes tenths of a degree. My 1 degree is a mile. I'd write that down. So if you're now, there are certain players that have had 3 degrees of face change. Yep. Tiger Woods is at times in his career has intentionally set the face a little open, float the toe, shut it down, makes the ball roll great. So here's a guy, the greatest putter of all time, uses face rotation as his number one weapon in putting. Go figure, right?
Well, and as we know, and most of the viewers know, he did that for a reason. He grew up on the West Coast, and the Poiana got long in the afternoon, and he figured out, I don't know if Earl or Rudy or John actually taught him this, or he stumbled onto it like most geniuses do. He figured if he launched it a little bit and hooked it, it rolled better over the Poe, right?
If I launch it and I add face rotation, which did you notice how on my chart it was a face rotation velocity? Yeah. That's what people aren't realizing. That face rotation is not just direction; it's a velocity. So if you want your ball to roll like Tiger Woods, you have to launch it and rotate the face at the speed which he's rotating it at. Yep. Does that make sense?
It's possible that we talked about this. It'd be cool to get, accurate 3D data, not just BS 3D data from, the legends of the past. Bobby Locke being one, who pull hooked basically everything and is considered by many the greatest putter of all time. He didn't win as much, but there was a lot of hook in that action.
Listen, there's only 2 more players I want in my database. That's it.
Who are they?
TW.
Yep.
And I don't want him pulling any bullshit with me either.
What do you mean?
Don't bullshit the data. Okay. Show me your release. Show me all the strokes that you've used.
Because he's how many different since he's come to people's attention a while ago?
I've seen Tiger adapt and adjust. I've done a practice round with him. Yep. At Muirfield. Okay. I walked 9 balls with him and Hunter because I was working with Hunter. I've seen Tiger with the shaft forward. I've seen the shaft neutral. I've seen the shaft back. I've seen hands lower, not as I've seen him change from the ping PP58 blacked out to
Yep.
the lambkin etched, not deep etched, but etched with cord. So I would want him to have an honest session with me and a curious session. Like when he does something, let's look at the numbers and say, okay, this is what the numbers say. What did you feel? What was your strategy, right? So in other words, I don't want him to just come in, hit a few putts, and it's not what he does.
Yeah.
I want to understand the strategy behind the movement pattern, if that makes sense.
100%.
And then I want Bryson. It's funny. I like Bryson. I mean, at times he's an idiot, but aren't all smart people idiots? I'm an idiot at times, but I love Bryson. I think he's super smart. It's funny. So Mike Shy actually introduced me to Bryson when he was like 10 or 11 or 12.
Yeah.
In Fresno.
Yeah.
We had done a putting seminar conference there, and little Bryson come up there, and Mike's like, this kid's going to be great. And like, he was extremely gifted then, but I didn't realize that how great he would become.
Yeah.
Because I've been down that road with Lev Simpson and Chesson Hadley and late Grayson Murray, and tons of kids have come out of Raleigh area.
Yeah.
Right. Akshay Bhatia, he's really good.
Yeah.
But you can't look at a junior golfer and say, well, he's going to be world number one.
Yeah.
But Bryson, and what's funny is in 2022 at St. Andrews British Open, I was with Rosie, and he was playing with Bryson, and that's when Rosie hurt his back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Bryson was really respectful to me. He goes, "Hi, Mr. Orr, how you doing? Love to chat with you about putting sometime." And
Bryson said that to you? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, absolutely.
Okay, so you got the invite, dude. What are you waiting for?
Well, no, I mean, I'm not going to call him up and bother him. I mean, if he wants to call me up and let's get together. And right now my system is down, so I'd have to have both Tiger and Bryson work with Doc Neal on that because my system's not operating right now.
Okay. We can make that happen. You got a big Rolodex, so do I.
Yeah. So, but if there were two players in today's game, I would love Tiger,
Sure.
With his with understanding his strategies. Like, what are you trying to do here?
Yeah.
So we can measure it. And then Bryson, I would like to do it just because, he's a golf machine kid, right?
Yep.
So a lot of people don't realize that a lot of his principles in his putting appear to come from the yellow book.
Yes.
Like the shaft is way up on the shoulder plane. His left arm is, he's zeroed out his angles and, the left shoulder, and you can see the tilting. And so it's very machine-like because Bryson's, and he told me this because he literally took my arms and twisted them so I could feel what he feels.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you serious? He goes, yeah, I want to reduce the degrees of freedom.
Yeah.
In other words, we go back to my chart, he wants to be yellow.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He wants yellow.
Well, and back to your chart with Olner, arguably we won't get an argument. Discussion in the lead. Greatest putter of all time under the gun is Jack Nicklaus. Maxed out the lead wrist Olner, did he not?
Close, but he had his index. So you can cheat that when you do this with your index finger.
Yeah.
Gotcha. You see what I'm saying? So really, Max Olner would be like this.
Yeah.
But when your index finger, see, it kind of
brings it back a little bit. Gotcha.
But anyway, but Nicklaus, was open and crouched and tilted, and the hands were forward, and the handle was high, and it drove with his trail
piston,
hand, trail elbow, And then he said he maybe like adjusted his swing direction on right to lefts and left to rights, and maybe, I see good players like Larry Rinker manipulating the rotation based on the slope.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you, are you an advocate of, so there's all these, it's Disneyland, different types of putts, different, every putt's different.
Depends on the player.
You like people to change their setup depending, let's say, in the same round, right? So the different putts, long, short, medium, blah, blah, blah. Do you like people to change their setup for different putts?
Well, what if I told you they're going to change their setup? It just doesn't look like it.
Gotcha, yeah. They do it subconsciously, yeah.
Well, and then if you look at the numbers are different.
Yep.
In that you don't set up exactly the same way anyway, but they're similar. But we're playing a game of similar versus different.
Yeah.
I can remember a professor of statistics, Dr. Jerry Taylor. I took at graduate school. I took graduate level statistics. Funny thing is, I was in there with a bunch of PGMers, and I didn't have a calculator, a TI-83 plus, and I got a 68 on my first exam. And they're like, Mr. Orr, you have to have a calculator for Dr. Taylor. Anyway, I ended up with an 89.4 grade point average, and you wouldn't give me an A. But anyway, that's a different story. Yeah, so he would come in. He was a guy, had Coke bottle glasses.
Yeah.
Only see the front row of the lecture hall. He goes, okay, the measure of one's intelligence is not what you scored on your SAT or your grade point average. Because it's your ability to distinguish the apparent differences from the apparent similarities.
Love it.
I'm like, wow. So everything looks the same.
Mm-hmm.
But the high IQ people can figure out the differences.
Yeah, and I think the high IQ putting people probably see and feel the differences in the putt and the green and the grain, yeah?
Now you're talking about Tiger Woods. You're
Yeah.
talking about Brad Faxon. You're talking about Crenshaw and Trevino and Seve and right. These people are geniuses. So getting back to coaching and teaching, how much coaching am I doing with a genius?
Yeah.
Right. I worked with Justin Rose. That kid's amazing.
Yeah. Talent.
You know, unbelievable physical talent and extremely high IQ. Right. So there takes a little bit of IQ, and not in the sense of like physics, like in engineering, like Bryson, but there's a certain IQ, like the ability to distinguish the apparent differences.
Attention to detail. You hear that a lot with elite performance. Their attention to detail is superior to others.
And their recall and their recognition is off the charts. And so it's not that they think more, it's they connect faster.
Yeah, love that.
It's not that they're thinking more, it's this they're aware. They have a hyper awareness.
Yeah, 100%, dude.
And it's in every way. And it's kind of like I really like Dr. Rick Stessinghouse's stuff when it comes to the mental stuff.
Yeah.
Because he's almost bridging a gap between the mental side and the playing side. I look at Rick Stessinghouse as a bridge builder.
Nice.
Does that make sense? Like, because we've always had this separation of mental, right, and physical.
But
right?
it's not separated. It's one and the same. It's all interrelated.
And that's what I like. And that's the and I don't know if I ever told Rick this, but if he's listening, the reason why I admire him is not because he works for Colin Morikawa. That he's actually both a PGA pro, a PhD, a tour coach, and he's come up with a coaching system of this building the bridge between the two, and that you should work on them together. Yeah. And that's one of the things I call you Paul Revere. You're the guy that's running around town on the golf course, literally running, telling everybody the British are coming, the British are coming. Like, you don't have to think. You don't have to think. Just play, right? And, you know, but the thing about it is like when you swing your own swing and your swing sucks and the ball goes in the water, there is a point there you got to learn some skill with the golf club. You've got to learn to generate speed. You got to learn to hit it in the center of the face. You got to control the depth of the arc and low point and all these cool things. Make the ball curve. So it's almost like this cycle that we have to go through. Like, I think in your career that you probably learned how to swing a golf club a little bit and hit a ball, and right. Then you learn how to run with a club. Yeah. Then you go like, well, how many clubs do you run with now? By the way, is it 3?
Oh, I still go with 6 when and if I have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good number for me.
You learn to play, shoot low numbers under par, running around a golf course in a certain amount of time, and shooting under par.
And to your point, you've got to create the skills first, you know. And so I never hit it great. It was a good combo for me. Yeah, whatever. I've shot hundreds of rounds of golf under par in under an hour with 6 clubs. I could go out right now and shoot 80 in 5.5 hours with 14 clubs in a freaking rangefinder.
Why is that?
Well, you and I have talked about it. I think once you've built the skills, once you've built a pattern that's workable, functional. Okay, then you need to stay the F out of your own way and be a little bit more instinctive, intuitive, less deliberate, more target-oriented, and let it go. And you know, I've always told people that golf is a lot easier, as is putting, playing fast, right? If you take the physical pieces out of it, that it's a better way to play. But people don't like to buy into it. And to your point, if you're hitting terrible shots, then you need to go back to the, you know what, I need to build a better golf swing.
Well, you got to have the skills first.
Yes.
And then second, you got to have the coordination and the fine motor movements to really be able to put it on automation. So I want to talk about putting and speed golf.
Sure.
So we'll end this discussion in your expertise. which is, all right, when are you reading the green? As you're running up to the
Yeah.
green?
I mean, we've done this a few times I've come to see you. I try to get to see you about once a year or so, and I need guidance and help. And you usually just tell me, "Hey, let me see how you putt if you're playing speed golf." Right? And so it's like putting a different hat on. It's like, okay, I'm reading the green as I'm coming up to the green, 100%. And so I'm paying attention. I also think my senses are heightened because I'm moving, way more heightened. Right now, I might be tired, but they're also heightened because I know I don't have very much time. Right? I don't have 5 minutes to read the green. I don't have to mark and wait for everybody else. So the green reading is done primarily as I'm coming up. I have a pretty good pattern recognition system of what's going on with that green. And then as I get closer, and this is something I'd love to talk to you about, I'll shift the read sometimes once I'm over the ball. So I don't have time to stand behind it. I don't take rehearsal practice primer strokes, which I think can be very beneficial for many people. Again, this is just my world as a speed golfer, but that's my process. And so, I have to commit to it 100%. But that green reading is done, as you know. I presented a couple months ago at the Top 100 thing. This system is bringing in 11 million bits of information per second. That's almost faster than your data collection, and 10 million of those are visual, right? And I'm probably using my feet as well as I'm sensing the slope. So a lot of that stuff's done on autopilot. It's the beauty of the human system.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's the recognition system. So recognition skills are what the average golfer is lacking.
Yeah, and think about an average golfer. Let's say they're riding in a cart for whatever reason, and they're chit-chatting, yak, yak, yak. They get out of the cart, they walk up to the green. We're still kibitzing. I ain't paying attention to what's going on up there.
Right, but they're also waiting for their turn.
Yes, they are.
That's why, especially if, like the aim pointers and like everybody's waiting their turn to do their routine. And I looked at Fax one day. I'm like, hey, Fax, when do you start reading the green? He goes, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm always reading the green.
Yeah.
I'm always reading the green because I'm always ready, and it's like, I think a lot of junior golfers, this is for parents out there.
Yep.
I know it's golf etiquette to wait your turn, but you don't have to be idle to wait your turn.
I love it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can be reading the green while somebody else is reading the green.
Yep.
You can be aim pointing when somebody else is wiping their ball off on a towel.
Yeah.
Can be, and there's nothing wrong with aim point. It's just the matter of how long are you taking, and do you look like an idiot when you're doing it?
Yeah, and
the actual premise of aim point is excellent. You're feeling which way with your feet. You're assigning a slope value that you have to recognize, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever, and that's the number of fingers. And then your arm bend is the snip.
Yep.
And Mark Sweeney's done a great job with aim point. The problem is the way people teach aim point.
Yeah.
And Rolf Kinkel in Germany, who's a friend of mine, who's an aim pointer in Germany.
Yeah.
He said, you should be able to do this in under 7 seconds. Watch me do it. So he goes, and I'm like, wow. He goes, if you really know aim point, you should be able to do it in 7 seconds. So we get back to stop waiting your turn. Now, that doesn't mean step in somebody else's line, which I think, who was it was complaining about it on the tour?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, recently,
Was Lucas complaining about it?
Yeah.
And Lucas has a point, too. But I don't even want to go there. I like him. Lucas Glover, I like him a lot. I've known him since he played at Clemson. But it's the process, the way they go about doing it. That's the issue. The education is not the problem. Education is excellent. Right, so stop waiting your turn. And then another thing, too, is Fax told me this. If you develop this one habit of when you hit putts, what did you see and what did you feel? Watch the ball roll out and get a sense of how long the ball spent on the slope.
Yeah.
He goes, because of his recognition skills, he goes, I can get used to the speed of the green within a few putts.
Yeah.
And he goes, it's not hard to do, but very few people are willing to do it. They're too busy reacting to whatever, their miss, the outcome, or whatever.
Yeah.
He goes, my brain goes to feedback. What do I see? I watch that ball roll out, and then I can recognize how fast or slow the greens are.
Yep.
And then he has the experience through years and years of playing all over the world. I think the real secret, and I told Alex Smalley this back when I worked with Alex when he came out of the G. I said, Alex, your number one thing when you get to be a rookie on the tour, which this happened, is your green reading's going to improve 10,000%. He goes, why? I said, because you got a new test every week. And sure enough, he comes back his sophomore year. He'd won $5.5 million. And his green reading was actually the best part of his putting.
Interesting.
His stroke was pretty good too. So what was happening? Your green readings are better and your stroke's pretty good. And why are you 100? And that became down to I wasn't training him properly. I wasn't preparing him properly as a coach, if that makes sense. So there was a disconnect in his preparation, and it had nothing to do mechanically.
Yeah.
It just had to do with, and then there's a whole different side of. We'll get into the emotional part later, emotional regulation, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, from speed golf, so you've got to. How long does it take for you to get used to the speed of the greens?
Well,
so say no warm up at all.
Well, I'm going to share a recent story happened about a week ago. So I went to Wisconsin. I went to Sand Valley with a group of people. I hadn't played much. I played a little bit of golf. Anyway, so I show up to the original Sand Valley. I have a 7:40 tee time. I show up at about 7:37. And there's another single there, right? And I did not hit a range ball. I did not hit a putt. I'd never seen the golf course before. I was so happy. I was in such a good frame of mind to be walking, because too much of the golf I have to play sometimes is in a cart, with a bag on my back. I think I had 9 clubs. Anyway, I didn't know where it hit. I'd never seen the golf course before. I shot 5 under on the front 9. So I birdied the first 2 holes, right? And it wasn't like I was hitting it like this, David. Anyway, I got done and I was like, wait a minute, that was all wrong. Maybe it wasn't all wrong. So, and the greens at Sand Valley, there's some action going on. But again, I'm always like, what frame of mind was I in? What happened? What do I need to do? What's a must? What isn't? Now, I had no expectations. I was like a little 10-year-old kid again, so happy to have the bag on my back and walking. And I could tell this dude with me, he just wanted to get around. They don't F around at Sand. Like, you get around in 4 hours or you're out, right? We had a foursome in front of us with caddies, and we were. So there's a lot to be said for that. And again, I probably have more, I'm working on year 52 now as a player, probably more pattern recognition. My stroke's okay. It's not great. But again, I think sometimes when we start, this, Dave, we start to putt poorly. The first thing we go to is the mechanics or the technique. And sometimes that is the issue. But I wonder, often it isn't. And maybe we need to start somewhere else.
Yeah, so going back to that, change the grip, change the setup, change the backswing, change the downswing.
Yeah.
So it's I tend to problem solve in a similar way the player's thinking.
Yeah.
Problem is they don't know what to do in the backstroke pattern and the downstroke pattern. That's where I'm working on becoming better at teaching that. Does that make sense? So like it's so it's not hard to Brian Pate came to see me shadow me for the day and he's like, because he watches all these before and afters, he's like, how did you get that putter fitting to be like absolutely spot on? It's like, well, I just have done it a lot, but if you I have the toolbox to do it.
Yeah.
So I can fit 33, 33 and a half, 34, 34 and a half, lie angle, loft, heads, blades, squarebacks.
Yeah.
Whatever, right? But it's like I said before, you go to 10 different putter fitters, you're going to get 10 different putters. And then one of the curious things I also want to kind of circle back to is when you're playing speed golf, is there a directional bias that you have? Do you tend to hit your balls on line or do you pull or push putts typically? And how you handle that when you're playing speed golf? You don't worry about it.
Not really. My distance is usually really good.
No.
Yeah, I've warmed up a little bit. Plus, I've actually practiced speed putting, right? So I had a guy come do a deal with me a couple weeks ago, and he said, I want to play 3 holes of speed golf with you. I said, fine, I'm old, fat, slow, and broken now, but let's go, right? So we teed off, and we played best ball. So I hit one down there. I said, let's play this one, and he starts doing practice swings. I was like, dude, what are you doing? I don't have time for practice swings in speed golf, and it got him completely out of his element. So I think people actually practicing speed putting, is very beneficial. Coach Wooden used to say, play fast, but don't be in a hurry. I don't want you to be in a hurry. I just want you to trust the system to hit the ball there, like we said earlier, at that speed. Now, does it help to warm up a little bit? Yes. Does it help to have the mechanics and the technique of a motion where you can manage the speed that the golf ball goes? It does, which is why even me the other day, I was flabbergasted, how well I putted, but maybe not. So I probably have tendencies. You've seen my putting stroke.
Yeah.
It yeah, it'll tend to go this way or that way, but I also think I'm really good at adjusting because with speed golf, the other thing is between the one shot and the next, you don't have much time to ponder what's going on. You have to accept it, acknowledge it, go, and that next one's going to be in front of you.
So your mental skills are off the charts when you're playing speed golf.
You know, what's the worst walk in all of golf? You hit a shitty shot, and then you have to stew over it, supposedly, and that's what one of the things that Rick's done and other coaches have done. You have to stew over it for 10 minutes. Well, with speed golf, it's gone. You better be ready because in a matter of seconds or a minute or so, you got to hit another shot. So you have to leave it behind. It's easy to say stay in the present, but the present's coming up pretty quick when you're running.
So I like to shoot handguns.
Yes.
My wife is addicted to it. She is a Southern girl that when you come home, she has her gun apart and cleans it herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife is serious. I literally believe that if I ever pissed her off to the point she put a bullet in me, she's that Southern girl. You know what I mean? And so what's interesting is we've learned to shoot at a gun range with, obviously we've got 82nd Airborne at Fort Bragg.
Yeah.
And, we have all the special forces and then all the law enforcement are gun clubs. So we're civilians and we stick out like a sore thumb. You know what I mean?
I love it.
And
it's like me running around a golf course. What's that guy doing?
Yeah. So what's funny is we have both, one of the lies in shooting guns is that you can't shoot right-handed and be left-eye dominant. And that's not true. That's not true. So for shooting guns is I learned how each eye takes a picture.
Okay.
And it depends on whether it's before or after the object that you're looking at, whether you have double vision or not. So when I pull up a gun, I can't. My wife shoots isosceles because she's left-handed. Yeah, she's left-handed and left eye. I'm right-handed left eye.
Yep.
So what's funny is when I pull a barrel up, I'll see two barrels or I'll see two targets depending on what I'm focused on. Make sense? Now, what I learned is that each eye is taking a picture and the brain forms one picture from those two pictures. If I can find the point where they intersect those two images, I just put the object there or the optic there.
Yep.
And I only see one barrel and I only see one target. I'm putting it there. So I learned that from shooting handguns that it was a bunch of crap about this left eye, right-handed stuff.
Yeah, interesting.
Because I understood how the eyes work, right? And then obviously too, if I ever see, if I ever have double vision, I know it's the barrel on the right.
Yeah.
And then if I see double vision of a target, I know it's the target on the left. So if I take the target on the left and the barrel on the right and I put them right up, I get one barrel. So what I'm saying is I've learned to shoot with both eyes open.
Interesting.
They say you can't do that. So the question is, do you aim your putter when you're speed golfing? Do you aim your putter?
I do it subconsciously. So I'm running in with my binocular vision going. I've started to putt this way too. I am not consciously aiming the putter, but I can get the ball to start where I want. And I can hit it the right speed.
So you're not using visual aim, you're not using an optic or you're not looking at the line. You're not staring at lining the ball. You're lining the ball up either, are you?
No, and you know this because every time I come to see you, I don't have time to put a line on the ball, and I'm awful with lines anyway. So, and my putter basically has nothing on it. So when I played last week at Sand Valley, when I walk in, people would say, "Well, you're aiming sloppily, Christopher." I disagree. I'm probably, and then at the end of the day, this is often true. I usually putt better than most people. Okay, so who's right and what's working? And I'm not saying that doesn't work for some people. You know that putting a line on the ball helps a lot of people. But people say we're not even aiming. I disagree. My subconscious has aimed. We are hardwired to aim, especially as males. We know that. Yeah. So am I just plopping down the putter behind the ball? No. It might look like it, but why then is my ball mostly starting on line and am I hitting it at the right speed?
Because we are pointing the putter. We're not sight aiming. We're not sitting there falling in love with our sight picture. That makes sense? So in shooting handguns, don't wait for a pretty sight picture. So I'll give you an example. So for those people out there listening that shoot handguns, because I'm in the free state of North Carolina, which means we have open carry.
Yeah.
And right now we're actually in the House Senate waiting to see if we can now be without concealed permit, which is we're waiting. So that's good. So anyway, you don't want to fall in love. So one of the things that I talked with my wife about is
Yep.
stop waiting for the perfect sight picture.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
100%. I hear the same thing from Dr. Debbie Cruz and
Yeah.
her colleague. They work with the best archers in the world.
Don't wait for the perfect sight picture.
You try to get you know this, David. You try to get perfect, whether it's putting or anything else, you're in trouble.
But one of the things that I learned is that if you really notice that the sight is actually making this little infinity move. Did you know that?
No.
Like it's not. It's very difficult to be perfectly still with a gun.
I bet it is. I've noticed that with my rangefinder, which is why I don't use it.
Yeah, well, if you used it, you'll notice there's a little infinity symbol, sideways 8.
Yeah.
So I've learned to shoot when it's looping right back to center. See what I'm saying?
Love it.
So I'm not sitting there for purdy.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Now, what's interesting is I taught my wife to shoot with both eyes open.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is I have a target hold, meaning 9 to 3. Put the optic in the middle and all 3 dots, and then you pull the trigger. That's called a target hold. So what's funny is if you have a head and a torso as your target, not all guns are designed with that sight picture. Some are what's combat hold, meaning just slightly above 9 and 3.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is you aim at that somebody's neck or head,
Jugular. Yeah.
and it shoots low.
Yeah.
So that you get a torso shot.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Whereas a target hole, which is like in putting, using a line on the ball, line on the putter.
Yeah.
You're trying to get this pretty sight picture, and you're arguing with the line on the ball and the line on the putter, and it doesn't look straight, and your putter's moving anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I think people have got to stop with this arguing with themselves. It's like they're having a debate or this wrestling match.
Yes.
With the line on the ball. If the line on the ball helps you, and all the line on the ball means is we're going that way.
Yeah.
That's all it means.
Yeah.
Right? But then they're sitting there trying to get their putter line matched up, and then if they got 3 on the ball and 3 on the putter, they're trying to get all. They're playing a game that until you understand what the eyes are trying to do anyway, you're not going to win that sight picture game.
Plus, it creates a lot of doubt in the mind, and that's a killer.
Well, the argument. They're in the wrong place.
Yeah.
So I do not putt with a line on the ball. I might put a dot on the ball because I have a tendency to peek a little early.
Yep.
I'll put a dot on the ball like the quiet eye, but I have nothing on my putter. There are no lines. Matter of fact, David Fritsch at Goodwood Golf just made we collaborated on a design that's really unique. If you can imagine a Ping My Day that looks like a Coronado or a studio design, that's what I have. It's like 2 designs into one. 2 of my favorite designs all into one putter. And when I put the putter down, it literally makes me smile.
Well, that's a good thing because, as you know, if it makes you smile, you're in your frame of mind, your state of being right there. Let alone the dopamine and the serotonin that's probably going on, brother, which is directly tied to performance, by the way.
Those are test putters.
Love it.
And I used to have way more than that. And I have all the labs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I would do a lot of testing with lab putters.
I know you do. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I try to give them a fair shot. For me, personally, I go back a degree more shot than you normally do. And then I'll pull them, and then I'll start thrusting. I had sent you some videos.
Yes.
Of, people putting with a lab putter. So the first video I sent you was the broomstick.
Yep.
Right? And that was Connor Brown from Alabama.
Okay.
And one of the traits that you have to have is the ability to keep the lie angle. They're called lie angle balance.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, if your lie angle is for the long putter, I think he was at 79 degrees.
Okay.
Well, he's very good at keeping the putter at 79 degrees.
Yeah.
Or close to it. You know what I mean?
But if you're not good at that?
Then you don't want a lie angle balanced type of putter because you can't keep the lie angle balanced, which would feel very linear.
Yeah.
Right? But also very planar.
Yeah.
So people remember the guy that I sent you that had the rattlesnake stroke?
Yeah. Yeah.
That guy played at NC State.
Wow.
In the lineup.
Yeah.
but very loopy, like in,
Yeah, I
out,
remember that. Yeah.
right? And he was struggling with that style putter. Well, you give him a heel shafted blade and he looks like Crenshaw,
Yeah.
right? Now another, I sent you lead arm lock claw. That was
Yeah.
another good one for the Lionel balance
Yeah.
putter, right?
Yeah.
The zero torque putter, right? There's a difference between Lionel balanced. Not all these zero torque putters are the same. Like an Axis One
Yeah.
technology is different.
Okay.
The center of the face, center of the head, center of the shaft meet in a point.
Yep.
That is Axis One. Some putter manufacturers are putting the shaft through the center mass of the club head. Some people are putting more weight on the toe and less on the, excuse me, more weight on the heel, less on the toe. There's different ways to get these things to be toe up. I thought that was really good. And then obviously JJ Spawn won with the leading hand level. So I think with a lot of these alternative grip styles, I think if you can keep the Lionel relatively stable and linear and planar, I think that it can work. I think where it doesn't work is with people that have, changes in the Lionel, changes in the arc, changes in the plane direction, out the in, out, whatever. Like the poor kid that I sent you, the junior golfer there.
Yeah.
So if, obviously he was aiming left, took it back, what he thought was square was actually closed. And then his hand path through the ball went left, and the poor little kid has got the twisties. Yeah. You could see his right forefinger, the jerk in his right forefinger, right hand, right forearm, right upper arm, and elbow. It was like that. So if you start feeling like you got the twisties, it's probably because your club face is too closed.
Okay.
And what's funny is Bill Schmidl, who's a good friend of mine, and myself, started an album on my phone, an album of videos of strokes. The album is the Zero Torque album.
Yeah.
And I put strokes that look good, and I put them in the album.
Yep.
And I put strokes that look gnarly, and I put them in the album.
Okay.
So that I can share them with players like you. So people ask me, what's your stance on lab putters? And I'm like, well, if you're doing the broomstick or any alternative grip, I think as long as you can keep the Lionel relatively, planar and linear, because the shaft would track a straight line. I said, you just got to make sure that if you twist that putter one way or the other, that technology is not helping you. And we've already seen with my wife that there's pronation and supination in putting strokes. Like, you ought to see what that would look like if it was somebody keeping the face square to the path.
Yeah.
They don't want to see that.
They don't want to see that.
Listen, the industry does not want to see that. They do not want to see the wrist and forearm and elbow data.
Interesting.
They do not want to see this.
Well, maybe you're going to make them see it.
I'm not going to do that, because I have learned, and I told my friend Bill Schmidl this, that I will wait. I will just wait. I will wait it out until everybody else figures it out.
Gotcha.
Because it's going to help some people.
Yeah.
Right? But some people, it's going to they're going to get the twisties and the jerkies. And
gotcha. Those
are the precursor to the dreaded word, the yips.
Yep.
And then when people come to me like, why can't I make a 3-footer? Why do I have this? Well, it's because the technology that's designed that you've been using might not be coordinating with the way you're using your wrists and forearm.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense. But I'm not going to fight the industry. I'm going to let the industry do their thing. Yeah. They got to make money. They got to make money.
Yep. And
you know what? I mean, Sam Hahn, God bless him, the guy's printing money. You know Sam.
Very well. I've known him for longer than I've known you. A couple of decades. He's a dear friend.
Yeah. So the guy's doing a good job. Good for him. You know what I mean? Good for him. So if you can sell a putter for, $599?
Yeah.
And it's helping people, then great. And if it's not helping other people, they'll change on their own eventually, right? And I think the guy has created a buzz.
No question.
You got to give him kudos for that.
100%.
Because the last time we had a buzz like this was in the 1990s. That's when Scotty Cameron came about. So it's been, 25, 30 years since we had a big putter craze. But I'm just going to wait patiently. I'm not going to fight it.
Okay.
In fact, I'm going to learn some things, too. I've told Bill Schmidl, one of the things that people don't realize about me, I know I come across as maybe arrogant at times, but usually I have meat and potatoes to back up my opinion.
100%, dude. Whereas so
And
many people do not. It's just some
well,
opinion they're pulling out of their ass, and yours is all. Yours is
well,
all. I always tell this is my deal. You know what cocktail I like? I like experience and science together. You have both of
yeah.
those. Most
Well,
people have one or the other or neither.
well, part of that, and you know me as well. Part of that people don't realize is that I do have multiple mental disorders that I battle with.
That's why we love you,
Uh,
though. That's what makes you great,
yeah,
dude.
yeah. So, but it's no excuse. But um, I was given a lot of bad information.
Which a lot of
To the,
people have been, and more and
yeah,
more now, right?
the reason why I don't play golf is I've had 2 discs removed and 3 vertebrae fused to the point where I don't have range,
Yeah.
and that affected my golf swing. Um, Wish I never had the surgery, but that came from bad advice.
Mm,
But it also came from bad advice of trying to swing in a way
yeah.
that I wasn't designed to move that way.
Yep.
So my own fault for being curious, right?
Yep.
And then working hard and then injuring myself. I mean, I have a body that I can't play golf. The only thing I can do is ski, and because the movements are very different in skiing, um, very different. Like I can do those. I can do things with my legs.
Yeah, you can, man. Plus, you love
But
it.
yeah, I love. Yeah, plus it's like a totally different mindset. But yeah, so like I'm just one of the things that people don't realize that about me personally is I actually like to learn from people I don't like.
Yeah, but that's smart, dude, because most people won't do that. And maybe
No,
you learn from people you don't agree with, correct?
yeah. So, well, you just beat me to it.
Yeah.
I like to see if I can. Okay, say I don't like this coach and I don't agree with him.
Yeah.
I'm one of those that even though I'm come across as arrogant or whatever.
No, you don't.
I,
You're
I
passionate.
like.
I disagree. You're passionate. We need more passionate people out there, David.
Well, I just like to learn from people I don't like or don't agree with. I like because to me that it's like, okay, is there something, even if it's like a little something,
Yep.
that might create a future connection for me? Like,
Yeah.
oh man,
Or help other people, and where you can
or
come
help
out and
other
say, you know
people.
what?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was freaking wrong. You know, that's
Oh,
what
absolutely.
scientists do. They present like your stroke DNA. If you were to give that to someone and say, I want you to poke holes through this in every conceivable way because I want it to be better to help more people.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's gone away where everybody needs to be fucking right now. And the ones that need to be right are so miserable as humans. So I commend you for that. And
No, it's just like, I mean, it's because somebody said that I can't remember, you know how social media is. They're like, yeah, that David Orr is like narrow-minded. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? I don't even like half the freaking people. Like, I have what's called disassociation identity disorder.
Okay.
I don't like people. I'm not listening to you.
Hey, let me
Because
tell you, you are not alone. That might have been a moniker that was given to you, but you'd be surprised how many people like that are out there.
Well, but yeah, that comes from trauma though. That comes like I've dealt with DID, right? So it comes from childhood trauma.
Okay.
Now my bipolar, that's genetics, right? That's every male in my father's side of the family.
Mm.
So now I know why I shoot 30 on the front side and 44 on the back. It's
Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh well, no. I mean, it was every round. It was. I mean, I got so many. Most stories are lies. Mine happen to be true. That's one of my statements. But it is like I can't tell you how many bipolar rounds I've had where you're 3 under on the front 9 and you make a 14 on the 10th hole and you birdie the 11th hole with a deuce.
Yeah.
And you shoot an 81.
Yeah.
With a 14 on your scorecard. And I remember the New York State Amateur champion, Dr. Alan Foster. I was playing with him when I did that.
Mm.
And he goes, you were 300 on the front side, and then all helter-skelter took place. And then he goes, you stuck it to like 2 feet from 207 yards or whatever it was.
Yeah.
He goes, most people would have walked off the golf course. And I was like, he shook my hand. I wasn't feeling too good about it, but he put his hand on my shoulder, and he's like, man, I'm proud of you. Like, wow, you're proud of me for shooting an 81 with a 14. He was proud of me for not quitting.
There you go.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, so a lot of people just like, me as a friend, most of my friends know the struggle that I have socially. And that's probably why I do what I do, right? That's what allows me to sit there and create one of these charts. I sent it off to Dr. Neil and he was like, wow,
Yeah, I bet he did.
I said, well, I just wanted to take all the numbers that were going like this.
Yeah.
And I said, I wanted to make sense of the numbers. And I'm like, the only way I can do that is to write a song. You want me to tell you how it came about?
Tell me.
So there's this lady on Instagram that plays the drums to all the little sitcoms we had growing up. Like,
Yeah.
Fred's, Sanford and Son and
Yeah.
all that. And I'm sitting there going, why couldn't I play the drums? Why didn't my music teacher let me play the drums?
Mm.
Well, I couldn't keep time. And I also couldn't overlap.
Gotcha.
So I was watching her. She was playing the bass drum, then she was playing the snare drum, and then the cymbals. And she was just playing notes on each instrument, but they were overlapping. And we always hear this term, oh, got to improve your sequence.
Mm.
Like, do these people really know what that means?
Mm.
Right? Like, there's an order of movement from different joints and segments, but there's overlapping sequences.
Gotcha.
So, like, you hear these, let's change your sequence.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
Dude, you know what you're really talking about when you say, we're going to change your sequence of motion and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, tell me what the sequence is. I'm going to send you a video of somebody putting, and you tell me what the sequence is. Mm. And I'm going to say you're full of shit. Because I couldn't see most of this stuff until it was measured. And once it was measured, and once I created these songs that are overlapping, then I could go back into the 3D animation and go, oh my gosh, that's it?
Yeah.
Like, that's it? But you combine that with that, with that, with that. And what did you just notice about my hand? It just moved off the screen. I'll do the sequence again. Boom, 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 boom. Now, what moved my hand over there? The whole damn chain did.
Yeah.
That makes sense? So it's like, so I kind of wanted to, I told Doc Neal, I said, if this is my only contribution to putting instruction and it moves it further ahead in the future, to where we have these 3D systems with AI. Yeah. The AI knows what to diagnose, and AI knows what to just prescribe. So that's the real future here, is someday with our phone, and I know Sportsbox trying to do it, Sportsbox, but those mustard, right? They're just not there yet. Like it's
not very accurate at all.
And I love gears. Like, I'd be using gears.
Yep.
Like, Michael Neff has a great product.
Yep. Dear friend also. Yep.
I would be using gears if it would do to the 10th of a degree that I'm looking for.
Right.
Plus, Dr. Neal's a mentor of mine, right?
Yeah.
But there's going to come a day where you just film your putting stroke.
Yeah.
And AI is going to say, bend over more at your head.
Yeah.
Bend over. No, don't bend any more at your head. Bend a little bit at your rib cage.
Yeah.
Or less at your hips. Or bend your left elbow more. Like, there's going to come a day where AI is going to you just go like this, and then the AI says, here, do that.
Yeah, but until that day, since I got you started about 2 hours ago, you're the only AI we have. So, because the time I've spent with you, my friend, so I want just make sure everybody knows where they can. And by the way, you guys had some rain in North Carolina. Everything good there?
So we've had a lot of flooding.
Yeah.
We had flooding in the mountains last fall. It destroyed a lot of our mountain homes and people, and now we've got it by actually the center of it was pine needles, so I haven't been down to work.
Okay,
so,
gotcha.
I did call the pro shop, and they're doing okay, but I don't know yet until I get down there.
Yeah, I heard from Alpenfels today a little bit, but anyway, back to you. So for the viewers out there that would want to come and see you, and I can say this firsthand, like if you think David's going to overwhelm you with whatever, he's going to basically do what he just described that AI will be able to do with our phone soon. And he will help you putt better, where you might be like, Christopher, just do a little bit more of this. Just put this a little bit more here, okay? And then, boom, you're good to go. So,
so what is a 2 hour session for me? First hour, I'm just asking questions and seeing what your recognition skills are like. And I might work on your skill set, right? And then we might go measure your stroke on the Sandputt Lab, and I might make a putter recommendation.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to change your grip or your setup and your backswing motion, your downswing motion. It's not going to be a lot. Like, all this research has allowed me to do my job easier.
It makes it faster. It makes the process faster to help people putt better faster, right? Who does with speed golf aside? Who doesn't want that?
Yeah. So you're not going to get all this information. That's just what's going under the hood. that's the duck paddling under the water.
Yep.
But I just go quack, like, here, do that. You just play your ball forward and your shaft a little higher, like,
Yep.
you know what I mean? So
Love it.
thank you, Christopher. Maybe we'll do this again. Thank you for being a longtime member at Flat Stick Academy, www.flatstickacademy.
Yes.
All my information's there, orgolf@gmail.com. And then all lessons are booked via old school with a telephone call. I try not to respond to texts because I'm in a lesson.
Yep.
I try not to respond to emails because I don't like them. So if you call me and leave a message, I'll probably call you back.
Love that. How good is that?
Within a few days, you know.
He's a busy man. So I appreciate
Yeah.
your time and expertise, dude, and all of us that know you, we appreciate you. Your contribution to what putting is already a lot, brother. And thanks for the DNA. Thanks for the songs and the orchestra. I can't wait to see the rest of it.
Yeah, I can't wait to learn more and more about it. And like I said, there's a couple more people that I'd like to do. But I can tell you that right now, that's putting instruction is better now than it's been. Like we both agree that maybe what we're seeing on Instagram, we just got to figure out what's relevant for you. And if you can't figure out what's relevant for you, you need to go see somebody that can help you decide that.
100%.
All right, Christopher.
All right, brother. Thank you. Take care out there. Talk to you soon.
All right.